Mr. Mehra and Mrs. Mohanty, who will be conducting today's book launch. A little bit about Mrs. Rashmi Mohanty. She is the Chief Financial Officer at SBI Credit Card. She is a computer science engineer from Delhi Institute of Technology and a postgraduate from IIM Bangalore. She is a finance professional with 3 decades of experience across BFSI and mining industry. A passionate speaker, she covers varied topics on financial markets, NBFC sector, women in industry, and also fitness. She has also guest lectured at several B schools regarding financial markets, derivatives, and merger and valuations. She is also she's also very passionate about marathon running. She is even an ultra marathon runner and a practicing Buddhist. Welcoming Mrs. Mohanty.
Thank you, Anila, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you all for the launch of this really very provocative title book called Crooks, Creeps and Bullies. This book is an attempt for all of us to actually turn our attention to something which we all face every day, difficult people in our lives. From hysterical husbands to nagging wives, from energy-draining colleagues to really toxic bosses, we face them all. And this book is a toolkit for us to not just survive those relationships, but actually equip us with material and tools so that we can transform our interactions with them as well. So it's not really a typical self-help book. It's a book which is a practical toolkit. And today we get to meet the mind behind this book. With this book launch, we are celebrating the work of someone who's actually built a career helping people face their challenges and also face what most of us usually avoid, which is awkward realities of daily life, challenging relationships, and more importantly, some difficult conversations that we need to have in order to be happy. So whether it's discussing a boss with the ethics of Shakuni, or a co-worker who thrives on manipulations, or even talking about the familiar challenge of dealing with some very close relationships, Yadav Mehra doesn't flinch. And that's a skill that Yadav has honed and mastered over 3 decades of coaching and training people. Thousands of people. Yadav is an alumnus of FMS, Delhi, and after a very successful corporate career, decided to pursue his Swadharma of helping people build some really very critical life competencies. Today, Yadav is a leading behavioral skill trainer, and I'll have to read this. Behavioral skills trainer, a life skills coach, and a public speaker, and is really admired and respected by all his coaches, his mentees, his program participants, his clients, because he brings in a very honest and sometimes maybe deeply disturbing truth to the personality traits and the behaviors that people need to change. And the best thing, he provides a very honest and a very practical way forward. And how does he do it? With wit, humility, and some piercing insight, and a little bit of mischief. And I'm sure we're going to see all of that come together today, this evening, as we get ready to launch his book, Crooks, Creeps and Bullies. So thank you for being here today, and now let me invite the man of the hour, Yadav Mehra. Okay, so Yadav, I thought we were going to start off with some cliched questions.
Please.
No, but then it's you and me talking, so how can we start off with cliched questions, right? Okay, so I'll just, my first question which I thought was that, why this book? And then I thought if I ask you this question right in the beginning, to 40 minutes, और हम क्या बात करेंगे, right? So छोड़ते हैं उसको. We'll start off with something that I was really curious about, which is, you're a public speaker, you're a coach, you're a trainer, which means that you are talking, and quite a lot. And by the way, I also need to set some guidelines and some rules for today's discussion, which is that if my question is going to be 1 line, your answer cannot be more than 5 lines. If my question is 5, not more than 10. And if you go beyond that, I'm going to cut you. Okay? But back to your talking, right? You're a speaker. You talk.
Yeah.
And as you talk, you improvise. It's a very free flow kind of a thing. You connect with people, you listen to them as well. You take in their reactions. You use a lot of hand and body gestures to be able to get across your message. You read the audience to be able to pick up the vibes and also improvise as is required. Writing, on the other hand, is very different. Very structured. You have to be very careful with the choice of words. And I've got a few things from the book that I'd like to talk about later, that what were the things that were going in your mind when you were writing those sentences. So how easy or difficult was it for you to change roles? And if you can change the role from a speaker, listener to a writer.
Sure.
And maybe if you can just share with us some parts of the book which were really challenging for you in terms of emotionally, intellectually, or even just putting the structure together. So I just want to first get into Yadav Mehra, the writer, before we actually get into the book.
Lovely. Okay, may I have a few sentences to thank?
It's you who's talking, right? But I'm going to cut you out if you actually go beyond the time.
So I think to the club team, thank you very much for organizing it, Rashmi, for doing this. Really appreciate, because it means reading this dangerous book and then spending time with me and to all of you on a Sunday evening at 5 p.m. when it's so hot. So on that note of gratitude, let me come on to the question that how difficult was it to switch the role from using vocal cords to writing? And I actually don't type, I write. So I was writing with a pen that was given to me by Amitabh Mukherjee. He's sitting there in the front row. And this is true. See, the pen is black and yellow, and the cover of the book is black and yellow. So there's just a bit of history that I'm telling you. Yellow represents a scared person, Kenny Rogers' song, He Turned Yellow. And by chance, symbolically, there is yellow on it. And the black represents power, that you feel empowered. So this is a little bit of history. It started in COVID.
I'll allow that this one.
Sorry?
You allow
this one. Because it's about...
Yeah, that's not
But see, I found it very difficult to write, so I did not write. I spoke to my book. I spoke to someone. And then the entire book is a conversation with myself. I'm trying to teach myself. So it is not writing. So I just wrote on a flip chart, then I categorized it, and then I read the book out to myself. And then I said, no, I disagree with you.
Oh, okay.
And then he said, so what do you disagree about? I said, look, I can't implement it. Oh, so what will help you implement it? So I wrote that. So this book is actually not meant for anyone else. In fact, most of my profession is not meant for anyone else. I am in this profession for my evolution or my sense of joy, and fortunately
using others as a guinea pig for that?
Well, they are partners, learning partners.
I like that word, they are partners. So any section, any part of it which was difficult, more difficult than the other parts of the book?
I think reading the mind of the CCP.
Yeah.
Because the CCP is a very intelligent person. And the crook, creep, and the bully.
No, I don't agree with that. In your quadrant, you've also got a CCP in a quadrant where he's not intelligent.
Yeah, but those are survivors. Those are thick-skinned people who just stab you, cut you. They don't feel the pain when they cut you. But the real CCP is a very intelligent person. And for them, control is power, power is love for them. So control is the big thing for them. And why do they control? Because they're intelligent. So just reading into the minds of those people, which is chapter number 5 was quite difficult for me. Chapter number 6, what happened in childhood when you were an infant, toddler, preschooler, schooler. Those were not very easy chapters for me.
Yeah, and I think it's important for you to introduce the CCP to the reader. Because and there are so many times that we deal with people who manipulate us. Right. We don't even realize that. Because we get taken we get overtaken by their drama of playing a victim, of the one who's impacted, right? So it's very important for us to be able, for you to be able to tell the reader who has CCD. So I can imagine that.
All right.
Are you satisfied with that?
Satisfied with telling the reader how to
Is that a
identify
complete? Yeah. Is that a complete?
I think deep down the reader knows because the readers have suffered. The readers don't suffer once at the hands of CCD, they suffer frequently.
It's a repeat behavior.
It's a repeat behavior. They may not be able to pinpoint that what is it that the CCD is doing that's troubling you. And there is a difference between crook and creep because the crook front stabs you and the creep back stabs you. And then there are the side stabbers where you don't know if it's a front stab or a back stab. So because you suffer at the hands of people, then you know something is not right. Because that you got that raw wisdom or you got that raw sense that something is not okay.
No, I didn't realize that I'm picking up for the first time that you actually can differentiate between a creep and a bully.
Yeah, see the bully part or the B word is why did I use the B word? It was a very difficult choice because you can't advertise on Amazon with this word. So Amazon says it's profanity. So it was a tough choice for me to choose this word, but why did I choose the B word? May I answer that?
My next question actually was about that only.
Okay, so I'll wait for the
So my question was that the title is very provocative. Okay, it's a bit controversial.
Yeah.
And is this title because you wanted some extra eyeballs? Like everybody I know, whenever I posted this thing about the talk or talked about your book, everybody said, "Oh my God, I love the title." That was the first reaction. So is it because you wanted to get eyeballs? You wanted to create a bit of some hype around the book, or is it that that's the only way to describe the people that you're asking us or that you're telling us how to deal with them?
I think what a great question. I think the latter part of the articulation is so good. See, the B word has been used to express anger because you've been taken for a ride, and it is not marketing gimmick.
Okay.
It's not a cheap usage of the word. It's a word full of anguish. It's anger. And when you say handling, the word handling is it's handling crooks, creeps and thieves. But handling is a verb. So what you're doing is that you are using constructive anger to deal with your anguish. What do you do? How do you engage with them? How do you have clarity-based courage, which gives you the conviction? Because otherwise you just get cliched wisdom from everywhere.
But did it ever worry you that the title may kind of make your book, it may not fit into certain libraries where you would have definitely wanted the book to be, but did it ever worry you that? Or you thought you kind of protected yourself with the way you kind of titled it, and the way you're not publicizing it by saying it's not bastards and it's bullies. Sorry for that, but...
See, actually it's never been my worry whether the book will sell or not.
Okay.
It is a book for myself.
Okay.
I had to express it.
Okay.
I had to put my drop in the ocean from this planet. I've done that.
Okay.
So I think a stone fit for the wall will somehow reach there. If it doesn't, then let Munshi Premchand happen to it.
Alright, okay. And I'm sure, Yadav, that the way the book has been written, it will find its way to the right places and in the right hands as well. Okay, now let's come to the book. Okay, I want to get your reaction to the fact that the book challenges or rubbishes, if I may use the word, the traditional or the culturally internalized interpretations of what good living is, or what dharma is, of what a good human being is, right? So tolerance, compassion, societal norms as well. You have to respect your elders.
Right.
You cannot speak loud in front of whoever, right? All of those kind of things as well. And as I was telling you one morning that it's about saying out with Karbala to Bobala, and Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy saying if someone slapped you on one cheek, offer your other cheek as well. So it's like out with it. So you've actually questioned values that we've been asked to uphold without asking any questions, without any scrutiny. Right? I want to get your reaction on that.
Which is so sad.
It's sad.
It is sad that you were asked to follow certain things. Kar bhala to ho bhala. Karma will punish him. Karma is a bitch or a male dog or whatever. And we just accepted that. And whenever we see bad people flourishing, we've got no answers. So why is it that a crook is, succeeding? And they continue. And we don't think about it. We just say, oh, there'll be a karmic algorithm that will sort him out. It doesn't. It's just putting a balm to soothe yourself. That kar bhala to ho bhala. Nahi hua bhala. Ab someone took your property away. How many of you have given loans to your friends but the money has never come back? Honestly, if you could raise your hand. There are so many of them there. I'm not even looking there also. Okay, thanks. So now what happened to them? They are flourishing, their cell phones are becoming bigger, their cars are becoming bigger, but your money is not coming back and you are saying, Kar bhala to kya hoga bura? Now, why not question that? When there's a friend of mine, he lives in Noida, he went to a school and on the walls it was written, honesty is the best policy. But it was never true because dishonesty was the best policy with dishonest people. Now, are you supposed to be honest with people who are backstabbers or front stabbers? Why didn't you question that? So you've got to choose the values. That where do you apply competition, where do you apply collaboration? You can't collaborate with a snake. So when you learn collaboration because it's put on a moral high ground, and it has become so disrespectful to disrespect respectful words. So the moment you question honesty, the moment you question transparency, people say, how dare you? How dare you? The moment you question a hysterical husband, nagging wife, pestering child, shapuni boss, how dare you question an elder? How dare you question a blackmailing child? Now, I dare. What's the problem in daring? Daring is soulful. Daring is pursuit of truth. Daring is being a sadhak. Daring is being a seeker. Daring is going to a higher level of existence to know the subtleties or the truths behind things. So you have, sorry, long answer.
No. And I really want you to talk about it a bit more because to me, when I started reading the book, the initial reaction was, oh my God, what is he talking about? Right? Because that's how we've been brought up. And by the way, as Mandala was introducing me, I am a practicing Buddhist, and we are taught compassion.
Yeah.
But I'll maybe cover that part a little later.
Right.
How I finally connected with what you were saying, and we'll talk about that later. But I really want you to kind of talk about it a bit more in terms of what made you challenge this traditional way of dealing with people.
I think that's again a great one, Rashmi, because what happened was that all along in my childhood, I was questioning things, and in FMS, I don't have any FMS attachment here. My name was Basic there, so they used to call me Basic because har cheez mein basically. And I remember in my moral science class in my school, Sister Monica was teaching moral science, and there was a chapter, God Made Us All. And my mother sitting right there. So the chapter was that God made us all, and she asked, Sister Monica asked me to stand up and read the chapter. And I stood up. Deepak and I said, God made us all, God made the apples, God made the mountains. And I put the book down and I asked Sister Monica, Sister, who made God? Now she gave me 8 marks out of 100.
This is what happens when you start challenging.
Now my mother wasn't very happy with low marks, so I didn't want to take 8 marks in moral sense to her, so I made 0, 8, 88. I joined the 0. And I became immoral in my moral science class. But I just couldn't stop challenging I had to ask this question, who made God? Now it started there. Then there were things that within the family, I was seeing that, good people were getting chipped of their sometimes property. It was happening in my neighborhood, and everyone was saying, be compassionate. But I just couldn't handle it. I wasn't fighting, I was questioning. I was in search of knowledge. I was not in search for a fight. So I kept asking this question that keep giving, keep giving. Now the person who is giving is supposed to get a karmic kickback. Kar bhala to ho bhala. Now so many people who give charity, unka bhala nahi hoga. At least you have to gather some data. Dan is good or bad? That my wife will say Satvik Dan, Tamsik Dan, Rapsik Dan. So every time I have to give charity, I have to ask her, is this clean, good, clean Dan? So you're asking questions, and I, all along, I had this thing, what you use, that to the Hamlet questions. What are the Hamlet questions? To be or not to be? You know, to be fair, what is right? Mercy or justice? Now these are opposing values. Which one is right? Mercy or justice? And what is misplaced virtuosity? Learning mercy with Hitler? Come on, man. And why? Just because your school, your neighborhood, your elders keep saying, Sab acha hai, sabko maaf kar do. No, who's going to question?
Can't this coexist with what you're trying to tell us in the book?
And that is exactly what he's trying to say in those 18 chapters, 701 verses. He says, kill your great grandfather with love. Okay, so that's what he does in chapter 3, where he goes into Karmyog, chapter 2, where he says that, look, just kill, softly kill with love. So Mr. Krishan is on the battlefield, and his bow and arrow, shastra or shastra, dono hi fail. So the guy gets goose skin and says, I can't fight, and what is that guy saying? Do both. Actually, you are right now saying what he says in those 18 chapters. He says, kill him, but kill him with love. And I think that's something that I'm trying to say, that kill with clarity, don't kill with love. That, if you have to confront, then do it. Can they coexist, justice and mercy? Of course they must. Mercifully, I'll kill you. Or mercifully, I will ask for my money back. You took my money. Now every time I go and ask you for my money, you say, come on, you're my friend. So I say that, look, as my friend, can you return my money?
Okay.
But the moment I say, as my friend, can you return your money? He says, then, but you are not honoring friendships, because friendships are what? Friendships are pseudo virtuosity or pseudo morality. Ek haath jo deta hai, dusre ko pata nahi chalta. Those of you who understand Hindi. And these are some strange statements that we've learned. You've given money to someone, that person said, I'll give it back. He's supposed to give it back. It's as simple as that. Why do you confuse it with justice, mercy, love, compassion? Money was taken in good faith. And the moment I go and ask for my money, you say, come on, mercy, compassion. And the mind gets confused for a good 50, 60, 70 years. And you get jipped out of your property. Just the last one. Just yesterday I was doing a coaching session, and this is a regular, I think Amitabh, the second time I'm using his name, he was in a consulting space for a short while where he was helping joint families who have conflicts. Now typically what happens is that one of the brothers in a joint family is a sage on the stage. Okay, so what that Chacha ji or Taya ji or Bade Papa or Chote Papa, what they do is that they want to be givers of wealth. So their children suffer. But the cousin brothers, they not only survive, they thrive. But the moment you go to this patriarch, the patriarch says, no, their children are like my children and I want to be Babaji on the stage. Now these are the realities of life which we brush under the carpet. Why? Kalesh nahi chahiye. No one wants disharmony. Now,
अगर कलेश करेंगे तो what is the reason for महाभारत? क्योंकि वहाँ पे किसी ने बोला कि नहीं ये नहीं हो सकता.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, the real problem started in our house when this lady in green, she went and bought Mahabharata and brought it in our house.
And this is never give a copy of.
Never done. And when she was reading it to me one fine day, all the things that should have not been read.
So now we know where is the book coming from, the Genesis.
I think slight credit can be given.
Give it to me as well. Okay, there you go. Finally on the stage.
Not all the credit, but some credit can be given.
But tell me something, Yadav, because you're challenging these really very traditional, we've been brought up with these kind of value system, etc. What was the reaction of your family, auntie, your sister, your brother-in-law, other people in the family, your father at that point in time as to what is this guy up to? He bol kya raha ladka
Pagal.
Huh?
See, it was.
Or they accepted you as is, ki theek hai.
No. Well, I think they know that he is not going to settle until he finds his truth. He'll keep being that analysis, paralysis, deconstruct, unbundle, keep asking questions, keep reading, keep asking. Like my brother, he lives in Australia, he's not here right now. He says, "Tu clarity karta karta hi mar jayega." You just keep asking questions. Why this? How this? Why? What if you do this and all? So how did they react? The first one was, what? Why are you writing this?
Yeah.
And then gradually you're serious about it. Then it was good, all the best. Then great, it's a good service. Then, beach mein it keeps coming, marega.
होता है कुछ should be discussion at home saying कि some parts of the book say कि पता नहीं क्या लिखा है. Maybe this concept is okay, but I don't agree with page number so and so in the book.
See, I think I was most scared that first person that I showed the book was to her. Then there's Amit. Amit is there. Amit was more there. He saw the book.
Yeah.
Gradually, my brother saw it. And they said it's
So majority accepted.
No, they said it's not bad.
Oh, they said it's not bad.
Not bad.
Okay. All right.
Which was,
That's a compliment for you.
So yeah, that was that British English is. So I think it was a big relief for me because the mischief I had to do.
Yeah.
So then let it take its own course. So I did my mischief and it is doing work because yesterday or day before yesterday I met someone, this lady, not lady, the guy, his brother wanted him to sign the shares of a property away. And he's never questioned his brother because bade bhai hai, no? And that was the order of the day, that whatever Bade Bhaiya says, the elder brother says, you sign, you never question. You believe that he's taking care of you. And he read the book. And the elder brother is cursing me. Because he said that, look, all that he said was, why? That's all. He didn't have to follow chapter number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There were 9 chapters. He just said why. And why did he say why after reading the book? Because actually courage, Rashmi, comes from clarity. It doesn't come by movies or WhatsApp University because your cerebral framework, your neural connections, your synaptic firing, your entire hormones, they have to fall in place. Your state of being has to change, and that happens only when you know what has happened. And no one really unbundles it, deconstructs it, simplifies it, personalizes it.
Okay, I'm keeping this thought with me. I'm going to come back to this.
Yeah.
No, because this is an important one because I didn't complete what I was telling you about my reaction to the book. I started off by telling you the initial reaction, not how it ended. So let's keep in part this thought.
Sure.
But back to Dhritarashtra, back to Mahabharata, and we've all grown listening to stories of Mahabharata, and thanks to B.R. Chopra, we've also seen. And by the way, the Krishna of the 90 series is still, I'm a big fan of Nitish Bharadwaj. And the epic is actually full of very different kinds of characters. They have their own motives, they have their own backstories as well. So my question to you is that why choose the 4 characters that you chose? There was a Bhishma, there was a Dhritarashtra that we just talked about.
Right.
We had a friend who asked you about Karan as well, Arjun.
Right.
And they're all characters who have a great definition. Right? They've got a motive, it's a mix of intelligence, it's a mix of courage, as we just talked about. Why pick these 4 characters?
Right. Okay. I think this is a very difficult question. And the last time when we did it, the first question that came in was, why is Karan not there?
Yeah. And maybe you can start off with why Mahabharata?
Okay. That's a very good one again.
Yeah. Why Mahabharata and why those 4 people?
Yeah.
Because unless and until we understand that, I don't think moving to that quad 4 theory, I don't think we'll be able to kind of understand what are those quadrants trying to tell us.
Right. Okay, see, we are used to a lot of spirituality, and which is that either you chant or read philosophy or go into metaphysics or particle physics, or say you are Atman, Brahman, meditation, float in the air, whatever, levitate, whatever it is, active, happy, silence inside, do visualization, whatever. Okay, but the reality of life is that there is a lot of conflict on the planet around Jal, Jungle, Jameen, Joru. So, and all of that is covered in
I've never heard this one. Huh?
So, okay.
Yeah, Jal, Jungle,
Jameen,
Zameen, Zoru.
So, and Joru is not a gender remark, please.
Yeah, I got it.
So it could be. So it is around property. It's around money. It's around resources. It's around relationships. And where you see the central book, and I'm not trying to propagate Hinduism here or the Quran or Guru
No, it's just
Mahabharata.
the background or the backside that you picked up.
Yeah.
It could have been anything but your choice.
So this particular one is taking you through every shade of life.
Right.
It is taking you through intimacy between partners. It's taking you through celebration, Yash, Kirti, Aishwarya, Johar, Zameen, property, cousins, conflicts, relationships, marriages, divorces, upbringing. So it's such a huge
Nurture versus nature.
Nature. I was waiting for that one. So it is so big, and what it does is it takes you through Rajdharma, governance, administration. If I missed out on something, he can add there. So what it does is that the ecosystem, the canvas is all things are there. The second one is that it has got characters that signify certain areas of strength, certain areas of weaknesses. Now Bhisham is a pratigya. It's like, I'm not going to change my oath. Okay? Now it could be misplaced loyalty. Now a lot of people here value loyalty. Now what if the loyalty is misplaced?
Yeah.
So Bhisham decides to be a chief of army staff rather than a person who will stop the disrobing of the first lady in the parliament. So the first lady is being stripped naked. And the chief of army staff there says that, look, it's not mine to decide what is right or wrong, mine is to obey. So if I disobey, then the whole army disobeys. So let me be a role model chief of army staff. Okay? Likewise, the other characters signify other things. Now, why did I choose these four characters? May I come to that?
Yes, that's
So the Mahabharata, why? Because of all these angles, which are
as I said, it's like full of characters.
full of characters, classical, and what is classical? Classical is that which is timeless. So what is a classic? Which is, things in that are true in past, present, future, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, what this book does is, that those of you, some of you have read it already, is that it's helping you deal with the negative energies in your life scientifically using two very solid models. It takes you through your inner child psychology, it takes you to the world of crooks, creeps and bullies, and takes you to the world of DGPs also, which is decent good people. So the book has two angles to it. DGPs, which is decent good people.
And maybe, Madhav, if you can just describe the DGPs. I think you've kind of spent already time talking about the CCPs.
Sure.
So before we kind of move ahead on this quad 4 theory, which will be my next question, but we can also just spend time on DGPs and then link it all up to the four characters.
Four characters. Okay. See, DGPs are people who like to play by the rules. They don't want disharmony. They feel that if I follow certain virtues, then ecosystem will be harmonious, and a harmonious ecosystem gives me energy. So if I take care of you, you take care of me, and it's not a give and take relationship, it's a give and get. Give and get. I do something nice to you, you do something nice to you, me, it will be Ram Rajya, and then we will live happily ever after. No disharmony, please, no disharmony.
Relationship.
So they become very, and how do they do that? They don't want to apply thought. They don't want to go into objectivity on what will happen. They want to believe that neighbors are supposed to be loving. Spouses are supposed to be caring. Bosses are supposed to be mentoring you.
That's their thought process. That's their way of looking at each and every relationship or a person.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything is good.
So old world Hindi movies, Nirupa Roy, there's Babu and Kartavya and everything. So it's not no relationship with the objective world. So if your friend is not being so friendly, but you romantically say, but he's my friend.
Romantically. You can just say he's my friend.
he's my friend, but you want to believe that he's my friend when the person is not living out the friend's values.
So
the
we
deal
get
is just
back to Mahabharata. I really want to get that answer.
right. So
Those four characters.
yeah. So see, what do you do? How do you actually map people? How do you bring in objectivity into dealing with people? Your business partner is taking you for a ride. Your boss taking you for a ride. How do you do that? So what I have done for the last 25 years, quarter of a century, is that I've created these two models which are taught in 110 countries, which map people based on intention and intelligence.
And that's what's there in the book as well.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that.
So, I mentioned page number if you want.
Looking at me, I'm scared. So, niyat or buddhi. So there is an x-axis and there is a y-axis. And on the horizontal axis, which is the x-axis, what one has done is that you map the intention, well-intention, ill-intention. Now immediately the question comes to your mind, how can you map intention? How do you quantify intention?
Yeah.
I'll come to that in a moment. But on the x-axis, what you have is the intention, niyat. Now what the Western literature has done is that they've shied away from this word intention, quantifying intention, categorizing it, and on the vertical axis, that is the y-axis, is whether the person is doing it deliberately or by habit. Are you using buddhi for that, or are you thick-skinned? So who is a CCB? A CCB is a ill-intentioned person who has a lot of intelligence. That's the Shakuni quadrant.
Okay.
So Shakuni really fitted in there. So I hope I'm being able to communicate the four quadrants.
So did the quadrants come in first or did the characters come in first?
The quadrants came first.
And then you were trying to look at who in Mahabharata fits in there.
No, I was just reading Mahabharata at that time.
Oh my god, all
See,
right.
so most of it has just happened. The book happened to me. It had to come out of me. Because I think I had just been working on what is right, what is wrong, how do you deal with
एक दिन वो लाइट चमकी और बोला ये शकुनी वाला क्वाड्रेंट है.
हाँ कि यहाँ पे ये fit बैठ
फिट बैठ रहा है.
So आ गया. Then this guy sold his wife while playing the game of dice. So युद्ध में स्थिर रहने वाला युधिष्ठिर, poor fellow, he found his space in the quadrant. Which quadrant? Well-intentioned but stupid. You know, because there is on the vertical axis, the y-axis, you have the intelligent, not so intelligent. On the horizontal axis, you have well-intentioned, ill-intentioned. So नीचे जो bottom right quadrant है, वो है दिल अच्छा है पर बुद्धू.
वो युधिष्ठिर ना स्वर्ग में बैठकर टर्न कर रहा होगा कहीं पे कि क्या बोल रहा है यहाँ पर. मैं stupid.
But he sorted out things.
He sorted
out things. In fact, I mean, don't get me started on Mahabharata because I'll then tell you very good stories about Yudhishthira because he was absolutely amazing towards the war.
But for the purpose of your book,
For the purpose of my book, I think because he sold his wife.
Yeah, you could fit that.
Yeah,
you could
he fits
identify
in-
the character who you could fit into that
I
person.
think he's a bit of a DGP in Mahabharata because he's a decent good person. They called me for a game of dice, so I went there. They called me for single malt, I went there. They took me for this party, I went there. दोस्तों को थोड़ी मना कर सकते हो.
भाइयों को कैसे मना करोगे?
भाइयों को कैसे मना करो?
बुलाया उन्होंने.
हाँ, फिर- So that is a DGP, you know. I have to be a brother first. I have to be a brother first. Akeli or legal. So can't say no. So Yudhishthira fitted in there. Good guy, dumb guy. And how do you actually map the intentions of people? By the actions of people. So if you map actions of people based on time, effort, money, position, which are put as STEM, that you can't measure intentions. You can measure the actions, and actions manifest intention. So okay, the other two characters, before you accuse me of taking too long.
But I want on this one because I really do want to understand.
Sure. So now let's go to this guy who said, just give 5 villages, no? You know, he's intelligently saying, let's stop the bloodshed. Okay, so he's intelligent. He says that don't fight. Do you know one of the villages for these Panchgaon, I don't know whether you know or not, one of the villages that Krishna is telling you, I'm assuming that most of you you know the story of Mahabharata. That's we're spending a lot of time there. One of the villages was where I grew up, Sonipat.
Oh.
So he was just wanting these 5 villages. He says, give me 5 villages and we won't fight. And he says, not even the land that comes on the tip of a needle get lost. So the intelligent, well-intentioned guy who says, fight back. Give it a blessing. Full guns blazing. Mahavira. And then the other duffer, who's selfish but an idiot, he chooses his army over the intelligence. He chooses the mighty Yadava army over the mighty Yadava.
Mighty Yadava.
So have I been able to explain
Yes. In fact, one thing that I'm taking away, Yadav, from this description of the characters also is that a CCB might be a CCB for you,
right.
but can he or she be a DGP for me? Or is it that it's an innate nature and a DGP is always a DGP and a CCB will always be a CCB, or the circumstances and situations convert a person into they behave like a DGP or a CCB?
Again, very powerful that you people change. Does CCB change? Does DGP change? DGP is decent good people, CCB is crooks, thieves and bullies, or the B word.
No, it's not even a question about changing, it's a question about reacting to things in different situations. So somebody might just be very good with me and maybe a bully to you or the other way around. And can that happen, or is it that it's innate?
See, is the person being unpleasant for evolutionary reasons?
For?
Evolutionary reasons. So if you're nasty to me, to help me grow, then it's a very evolutionary action. You are being cruel to be kind. So every cruel action is not a CCB action.
Okay.
So you could be cruel to be kind, but how do you know whether a person is being cruel to be kind? So the book talks about directionally, are you evolutionary or devolutionary? Now, what may I answer this? Evolutionary is what will help you.
आदत तो डर ही क्या है वैसे ये टाइप का आदमी वो है ये तो सुनना हमको
हाँ ठीक है because the other moderator had blamed me for talking about
ये तो सुनेंगे आप
thank you very much. So evolutionary क्या होता है? Evolutionary वो है जिससे your ego thins out, you live higher values and you taste higher joys. So anything where some constructive self-effort happens, and you taste, you're a marathoner. She's an ultra-marathoner, those of you who don't know. 120 kilometers, 200 kilometers, 135 kilometers,
160 kilometers.
160. Now, why doesn't she just be a couch potato? दिमाग खराब है सुबह सुबह उठ के भागना शुरू. See, the joys of running, first half marathon, then marathon, then 130 kilometers in sand. Yeah, I think it's evolutionary. Some Tamasic people will say she's stupid. But ask her why does she do it? She tastes deeper layers of her personality. So what is evolutionary? Evolutionary is that thins out your ego, your bad habits, you go in for better game, better wealth, better reading, better learning. Devolutionary is no. My ego, my comfort, my likes, my dislikes at your cost. So that is going down in terms of existence. So when an action is cruel, you have to see whether it's helping the situation, you, me and her. It's helping me, it's helping you, it's helping us. That's an evolutionary action. The pleasantness or unpleasantness does not matter that much. Devolutionary is I sing, you sing, sab marte. So now when I'm being CCB with you, though the choice of words can be that when I'm being rough with, because the word CCB can also be constructive, compelling and balanced. Let us give it new words, so let's not. So if you are constructive, compelling and balanced, and you are pushing a person to raise their bar, I think it's a good thing, even though it's unpleasant.
Yeah, that's the evolutionary side of that person.
Absolutely.
Got it. So, and I was trying to look at, I've blog here those 2 pages which have the quadrants. And you have that quadrant being talked about in 2 situations. where the CCB is at an equal footing with the DGP, and also where the CCB is at a higher level, more power, more influence, whatever it is. So actually it now makes it as 8 combinations. Right? Of the 8 combinations, which do you think is the most difficult to deal with?
I think it is the Shakuni. It is the it is the highest power. So if you have a Shakuni boss,
And especially if they're at a higher level, right?
Higher
More
level.
power,
So,
yeah.
but what is power? Power is the ability I have to make you do what you do not want to do. Repeat. Power is the ability I have to make you do what you do not want to do. So doctors have expertise power, lawyers have expertise power, rich people have reward power, chair power, or whatever legitimacy power. So when you have a powerful person, let's say a blackmailing child or a nagging wife, hysterical husband, best friend child, difficult neighbor, etc. So if they have more power, they have the entry to the gate.
True.
A neighbor is the one who allows you there. He has more power. So the moment person has power and intelligent and selfish. So in the 4 quadrants, am I being able to explain this? So in the 4 quadrants, if a person is buddhiwala, not buddhu, selfish and has more power, better start praying or start reading.
Walk away?
Walk away from trouble is it's going to trouble you again. It's going to come and bite you in another new circumstance. You can't escape it. It will once again create the ecosystem, laws of attraction to hand whoever. Again the Shakunis will come. So until you develop the muscle.
Deal with them.
Yeah.
There's no, you can walk away once, twice, but then I agree, the law of attraction works. You attract people of a certain kind and you will again.
Yeah.
And if I look at this quadrant here, that you actually have given the strategy to deal with them.
Right.
There are 4 different things that you're talking about here. Explain that to us.
Okay. See, again, this one is very important to understand, please.
Yeah.
That when you are dealing with a Shakuni, now, I could have given one strategy.
Yeah, but there are 4
But there are 4 strategies depending on your nature. And what is your nature? Are you a follower, trader, fighter, or scholar? Now, I'm not going to be using those words and getting into trouble. But what is your pravritti and navritti? Are you a person who avoids disharmony in general? Are you the follower class? You like to follow, you like to fall in place, you like to align. Okay, let me use a politically correct word. But you're the types who aligns. Oh, everyone is going for Italian, I want to go for Indian. Chalo, I'll also go for Italian, at least align and there won't be a fight. So are you the aligning types who will align instead of fight? Or are you the trader types? One's yours, one's mine. I fix up deals. Car, deal street. Trade finance. So we can deal. Once this. Or are you the types who will say, over my dead body? Is that your nature? Or are you a scholar? Doesn't matter at all, Captain. Who pays? Captain. So he says, okay, day or raat, what does it matter? Sandhya is Sandhya. Balanced kind of a thing. Polarities don't matter. Paradoxes don't matter. So I think I've given those strategies depending on your nature. If you're not the fighting types, don't take the strategy of lobby.
Right.
If you're the follower types, align and be peaceful. If you're the trader, hustler, deal, man. It's okay. So I'm saying, what this book does is that it's also taking into account your personal nature. It's not just giving you a model. Because if tears come to your eyes more easily than others, if you get hurt more easily than others, if your heartbreak happens more easily than others, if you get more angry than others, if you are calmer than others, if you are okay to have give and take, then you are different. No? So then you need different strategies for different people based on your psychological prototype,
Right.
your archetype.
So that's why you have those 4 different ways to deal with the Shakuni.
Yeah, also I was dealing with so many people over 25, 30 years. that I realized that people are different and one
Right.
size was not fitting them all.
Right.
So I had to
Yeah.
find who would cry more easily, who would have heartbreak.
So, so let's say, and the book, by the way, helps you to also, as the other was explaining to us earlier, helps you to identify who a CCB is. So let's say I'm able to identify a person as a CCB.
Sure.
And I want to change the situation.
Right.
I want to change the way I'm interacting with that person and dealing with that person. And if somebody comes to you to ask you for help, what is the first thing that you will tell that person to do? One habit that they may have to change, or one mindset shift that they have to bring about in themselves. It's easy to read the book,
Yeah.
right? But obviously, as you said, you've written the book because you also wanted people to have the tools to be able to deal with these kind of relationships.
Right.
And I agree, and that I don't think it can happen overnight.
Yeah.
But what's that first thing, that one step, that first step that person can take to say, okay, first of course is acknowledging
Of course.
and accepting and saying and being ready to put up the fight. And I just use the word fight in whatever way. Scholarly fight, engage. Engage is the right word. Yeah. So that is the first thing. But after that, what is it that first? What does a person should start off with?
Yeah. See, the education system suffers from a very big problem. And the big problem is telling people to change their mindsets. Now, those of you who are parents or grandparents or mentors or teachers, etc., my request to you would be that as effective teachers, mentors, coaches, parents, grandparents, stop asking people to change their mindset. That's the biggest flaw that you can have as a teacher or as a coach or as a trainer. Because people can't change mindsets. That means that neurologically, think positively. When you try to think positively, after 2 minutes you go back to your pattern. So I've seen so many moms who come outside the tennis ground in the evening. These days the coaching has stopped, but otherwise 5 to 10 years back when those little kids used to come there, the moms were sitting outside here at these 3 tennis courts, and they would keep telling their children, "Beta, concentrate now. Beta, where are you looking? Beta, be positive." Now it was so bad. Focus. Yes, I mean, thanks for filling that up. Beta, focus now. I thought it was the most useless way of spending energy. Because the child, if he has to focus, you have to ask the child, which side is the ball turning? Is the ball moving towards the gravity or going against the gravity? Are you taking the ball on the rise or are you taking the ball as it goes down? Concentration happens. Focus happens. Focus is a byproduct. Changing mindsets does not happen. In fact, the book very softly and sweetly attacks Swami Vivekananda's dialogue, because he comes and says, conquer the mind and conquer the world. Except that you can spend 50-60 years trying to conquer the mind and conquer the world. It doesn't happen. So, I'm sorry I'm taking a long route to answer that question.
No, this is interesting because, okay, I'll give my comments later. But
Yeah, so when you say what is the first thing that I'll ask the person is, first I'll ask a lot of questions and then I'll say, okay, fine, it hurts, man. Oh, your tears come to your eyes. Oh, you've got EMIs. Oh, you can't leave the job. Oh, you are in love with the child and the child is taking you for a ride. Oh, got it. So this is the first thing that I fully understand.
Okay.
And then I'll say that, when was the last time that you were able to get some success? So I'll remind them of their resourceful state. When was the last time they had courage? When was the last time they had clarity? Then I'll help them open it up. Then I will say, okay, let's use that technique. So, me as a trainer, coach, speaker, keynote, whatever, I never ask people to change their mindset, be positive, socho, bade bano. So this is called change, shifting ontologically. Ontologically is the science of state of being. Apna being badalo. Just become positive. Just become clear. Just become generous. Just become compassionate. Hota hi nahi. Keep trying. Because you can't change the synaptic connections in the brain without experience or deep knowledge. Deep knowledge happens with extremely high quality children. You've got to see what is happening in the brain. So the first one, that what is the first mental shift that you want is, I'll say, relax and let's think about when you succeeded. Let's go back there. And if the person says, I succeeded after I had 2 pets, great.
Great.
Let's start drinking. I'm kidding.
I like this quote, by the way.
So I think I'll just take them to what worked for them rather than what shifts they need to make. Because the shifts are byproducts.
Right.
The shifts are not pursuits. So if a person has to start running, you have to start walking and they say, oh, maza aa raha hai, chal finger pakad, chal thoda बढ़ते चल.
In fact, that's exactly what I was thinking about, because when you said that be positive or conquer your mind, and I was thinking, but that's exactly what we are told when we are practicing for an ultra marathon. No, but I'll tell you where I connected. That whole conquering the mind doesn't happen sitting at home. That conquering the mind happens on the road.
Absolutely.
Every day when you are there showing up, whatever many kilometers that you may clock in, you're doing a 20, you're doing a 30, then you go to a 60 kilometer because you're training for a 100 kilometer ultra marathon. That happens on the road with an action. It doesn't happen sitting at home. So you just can't say, conquer your mind and you can do a 100 kilometers. It doesn't happen like that.
And I think the Karanindriya play a big role in Gyanindriya. So the organs of action play a big role in organs of perception. So let's say you are sitting in the bed and you're lazy, you want to get up. And you say, okay, come on, have this. You may not be able to, but let's say you start chanting. Now you're using a Karanindriya. Organ of speech is a Karanindriya. So you use that. And there is circulation coming in here. You start moving your fingers a little bit, you move around a little bit. And then the knowledge also begins to come.
Right.
So the action and knowledge, when they come in, that's when the moments of truth happen.
Yeah.
So,
No, actually, you also explained very nicely and beautifully this other concept that at least I use a lot as well, is victory propels victory. So when you remind somebody of their success, it kind of brings them into a stage where they get excited about looking to a victory.
absolutely.
And then the actions follow. Because the first stage is to be able to be ready that yes, I want to be victorious, I want to win. And then the actions follow. So that's another very nice explanation of how that can work.
Yeah, and the biology of success. If you go through the biology of success, the chemicals that are used for success are totally different. So actually, when you say victory, what is the victory?
Victory propels victory.
Victory propels victory. Actually, the chemicals that are secreted
Absolutely.
are different chemicals.
Yeah.
So
It gets
now,
you ready.
thanks to neuroscience, we finally got science in behavior. So these are really exciting times as far as personal transformation, personal correction is concerned.
Right, and I believe that two of us have been talking quite a lot. Yeah, but I still have 2 things to say.
Please.
Number one, I want to finish my comment that I started off with, that when I picked up this book, I thought this was all crap, all bullshit. Honestly, I mean, not the you can ask Dipan. I shared my views with him when the first couple of pages.
What was your response?
He doesn't read, you know that, right? But I know.
He reads people.
He reads people,
He reads
yeah.
people.
He doesn't read books. So, but later as I continued reading the book, what I realized that, and as I'm a practicing Buddhist, that I started agreeing with what he was saying. And I'll tell you why. So, compassion alone is not enough. Okay? Compassion has to be guided by wisdom, and it has to be backed by courage. Okay? That's the complete, it's a trilogy. You need to have all 3, and which is by the way what our practice also teaches us, that you have to have the 3 to then move to the state of action. Once you have compassion, you have wisdom, you have courage, is when you start taking action and you start moving towards victory. My question to you, therefore, is, and this is, I've got one more, which is another chotu question, but you can get wisdom. This book will help people get that wisdom. People usually have compassion. The DGPs have compassion.
Yeah.
I would like to believe that, and that's why they want to. They are DGPs, and if they have to start tackling CCDs, and they have the compassion,
Right.
the book will give them the wisdom. Where do they get the courage from?
See, courage is something that will come from clarity, but my view is that courage comes from your deep need for genuine happiness.
Agreed.
So we need the courage to be happy, to be honest to our psychic thumbprint. We were born with a psychic thumbprint, and the more you live in your false self, the more the true self suffers. And anything which is away from true self is a path to then the shrink, the psychologist, the self-help books, the excessive yoga abhyas that you may need to do, because you get neuromuscular tightness when you are not living your true self. Now, true self living is not easy because the world wants you to fit into their mold. So this whole journey from the false self to the true self, some people ignore it. Some say just be happy, take 2 exam. Some will have a deeper journey and they say no, I'll struggle. So courage will come out of clarity, courage will come out of compassion. And one line I've been thinking about for the last few days, and it's an original one that I don't know, it was Jesus Christ who said that do unto others what something to you. Now I feel that for the DGPs, the decent good people who hurt themselves, who are self-destructive, because they are looking for harmony, they are looking for everything sweet. I feel that this particular thing that Jesus said should be turned around. I would say that for the decent good people, do unto yourself what you do to others. Okay, because you are so nice to others and so unnice to yourself. I know there is no word like that. I would say that why don't you do to yourself how you treat others? Because the DGPs need to reverse the
So
model.
nurture yourself.
Yeah, because you are.
And we were talking about it this morning about the nurturing quotient and how people nurture themselves. Interesting. This morning we were having a discussion. But yeah, I think nurture yourself.
Yeah. So I feel that if you are very kind to other people, then do to yourself what you do with others. And the mantra for CCBs is do to others what you do with yourself.
Okay, I think I'll stop here. I think we've taken away an hour of both of us chit-chatting and talking quite a lot.
And enjoying it.
And so therefore, I guess we'll just open the floor now to questions from you all. Any of you?
I think well done. There is very few people who will say to what it is. You're that guy who says things which we all know, and we have been programmed, like you said, to be polite, while good intentioned people just trying to be decent good people don't do well by the whole themselves or society, because they're trying to follow line, follow a script. The script needs to be drawn. So the thing is that we are also in quantum entanglement. So you deal with people who are empaths and dark empaths. There is a whole spectrum of people. The only way I think we can get on with people is by very simply, you're saying be honest. Call it for what it is. So that I think, I'm proud of your book and your writing.
Appreciate that. And I think you know what she's saying, that the path to honesty is not simple. Someone was asking me what's going to be the title of your next book. I said, I don't know with this journal or next journal, but the title of the next book would be The Path to Middle Path. Because it's so easy to say that follow the middle path, be honest. But I think this, if you can be honest and be in the true self, that is the only solution. It's just that when a lot of people try to be honest, they shudder, they shiver, they feel strung up, they have sleepless nights, and they need to know what are the baby steps to just be honest. Very good. Sorry. Okay, so she was the MC and
Okay, so as I told you million times earlier, I love the book.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. But my question, so your book, it really made me reflect. I do see myself as a DGP. And I recognize how that's made me vulnerable in a lot of situations. But I also don't want to swim to the other side and become a CCP. So how does one evolve, and how do I protect myself and set boundaries while still staying true to my core values?
Yeah. See, that's the fear of a DGP. I don't want to become like them. Because those guys are mean people. So if you become mean, by the way, will you be able to become mean? Try it. Because you're so married to your archetype and prototype and your programming, you only talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, if I become mean, then I won't like myself. By the way, you won't be able to. But anyways, I mean, you can try. The second one is that you don't want to be a CCP, which is fully respected, but you can be compelling, you can be constructive, and you can be balanced. And you will still have love for yourself. that what you're going to do is that you practice your values, but at the same time you map these people and treat them the way they need to be treated. And this whole book is very compassionate towards CCPs. Nowhere does this book say kill them, push them, throw them away. No, the whole book is about engaging with them intelligently, because the moment you engage intelligently with the CCP, by the way, the CCP starts respecting you. Because now they say that you've grown, you've matured, you're not a fool. And one strong, CCPs have strong disrespect for duffers. People who can't apply their intellect. People who are too Hindi filmy. So, the moment you start doing it, they say, par nikla hai. So, the moment the DGP starts becoming intelligent courage, clarity-based courage, you've not lost your goodness. So, there is zero fear about becoming mean when you engage with people who are front stabbers or backstabbers. They'll be better off with you, you'll be better off. Everything improves. In fact, companies' attritions have gone down after teaching this model. And this is across organizations. I work with 200 companies. And with the same companies for kitne saal ho gaye, Archana? 20 years we've been working together. There's a whole PwC EY sitting here. So we've been... Sorry?
The big four need here.
The big four is there. We don't have KPMG and Deloitte here. But attrition goes down. People don't leave their jobs because now they can tackle the bullying. So Sangeeta, definitely your soul does not get soiled.
Can I add one thing? The other thing that I picked up in the book is that you're not trying to change the CCP.
Not at all.
You are doing something for yourself to be able to deal with that relationship, with that interaction. Yeah.
So staying with that,
Sir.
if you say so far in the previous meet and now, of course you don't, you actually in the book talks about how to deal with it, right? But then what would be those two positive attributes of a CCB that the DG, what is it called? DGP is supposed to accept or adapt. So I can improve them.
Lovely. I mean, the DGP does not have courage. They don't call what it is. They go like
Sometimes they don't have
jelly.
intelligence.
They go round and all that. So they don't have the courage and they don't use intelligence. They don't use their intellect. They don't have the courage. So they have to learn from the CCP. CCPs are very inspiring people. They're brilliant there in surviving or in ruling. The low quality CCBs are survivors, thrivers. Nothing can touch them.
So
They have constructive thick skin.
Sorry, who's the Mahabharat CCP for you? Sorry, I've not read.
Shakuni. So Shakuni was the uncle of Duryodhana.
I know Shakuni.
You know Shakuni?
Yes.
Okay. So he is the one. See, the war
So, but
was.
do you psychoanalyze him as in Shakuni has a reason for being Shakuni?
Of course.
Are you getting there or
I'm
it's
not
just
getting it.
you're not getting
Yeah, because
it?
it is going
it's
to
just,
infinity.
so is just Shakuni the person that we see playing
behavior.
dirty?
Yeah.
Playing
Behavior
dirty
is
with
what
his
has been
dice.
picked up, right?
And if Shakuni was here right now, he will say, I'm not a Shakuni. So, but then the scope of the book is whether he is a Shakuni or not, we are calling him Shakuni. We can call him X also, not the Twitter X or his son, but we can call him Y. So, but it's a selfish, manipulative, intelligent person who's taking you for a ride in a...
And the good guy is Yudhishthir.
The good guy is Krishna.
Acha, the good guy is Krishna.
But the DGP, the decent good
the
people
decent
person is
person is
Yudhishthir.
Yudhishthir.
He loses in the game of dice now.
And good, you call him because he's able to negotiate. Or
Yeah, he
manipulate.
didn't want to grab anyone's kingdom. He wanted brothers.
Because Krishna was hugely manipulative.
Huh.
But you look at him in a pleasant
Because
manner.
he was trying that everyone is able to coexist together. So he said, give me 5 villages, we'll coexist, man. But we can always have a debate here on whether Krishna was manipulative or not.
No, but Krishna is
But that's a
the
separate
CCP here.
discussion.
There is one of the quadrants does have Krishna as a CCP. So you're right, he's a manipulator, but with some other characteristics which Make him what he
Yes,
is.
see, it's a literary text which
Yeah.
I've not read the book, not read his book, but I've read the Mahabharata.
Sure.
It's a literary text and can be interpreted in,
Lovely.
you know,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's
So many
So
So-
picked up
So
some
you don't
characteristics
have-
of Krishna to put
Yeah.
him in a quadrant.
So you don't have stock characters, you have grounded characters.
Right.
And they evolve. There's a backstory.
Yeah, they
there's-
evolve. Lovely.
yeah.
Very good.
So-
You've read it well and analyzed it and reflected on it. Yes, please.
Those are my questions.
Yeah.
Sorry, please.
Okay, so last time I had asked that like can CCBs change, and you had told me no.
Difficult.
And so like just to clarify, CCBs tend to self-victimize, right? Like as in like oh poor me. Is that why they're in power? Are they the type of people who say poor me and that's how they get their way?
No, CCBs get their way by their intelligence. They are very sharp people who know what they want, and they are not in this illusion that I have to follow rules. They can break rules. They can be honest with you, they can be dishonest with you to survive or to thrive. They are not playing the victim card at all. If at all, it is a decent, good person who will say, I am the victim. Or
They
the
never say
martyr.
that.
They never say that, then I withdraw that. Okay, I think once again, DGPs can be evolutionary and devolutionary.
Yeah.
CCBs can be evolutionary, devolutionary. So the
There are
CCB,
shades
the
of-
crook, creep and bully, they draw their power from their courage and their intelligence. It's just that they are very selfish. They use it for their gain at the cost of others. That's what they are. Yeah.
So basically, they're not the type of people who self-victimize. They don't play the victim.
Not at all. Not at all.
Alright.
If they do, they will be playing a game only to make you feel guilty.
Yeah.
So if they have to drive you with guilt and shame, see, a lot of CCBs will drive you with guilt and shame. As a wife, you should have done for me. As a husband, you should have done for me. As a junior, you should have done. As a friend, you are supposed to do. Supposed to do what? They will always talk about your duties and their rights. Your duties, my rights. So when it's your duties, my rights, you will always be wrong. They will always be right. So they are not. They are so
I don't
intelligent.
like that distinction. So they don't self-victimize, but they will use shame and guilt to make you feel. Yeah, exactly.
But then are we saying that CCBs are bad and BGPs are good?
See, go ahead, you answer the question.
Obviously, I mean, if they are, troubling others, snatching from others, making lives miserable for others, and going at the cost of others, they're giving nightmares to others, then of course they are bad. And what happens is that the moment you go to a temple, mosque, gurdwara, church, or whatever, the moment you call someone bad, then you hear some strange dialogues. In childhood, I used to hear, "Insan kharab nahi hota, uske karam kharab hote." Some nonsense like that. I could never understand. My whole point was, why don't you call bad bad? What's the big trouble? Truth is the highest value. If a person is doing wrong, call it wrong. Whether it's the elder or the junior, boss or the subordinate, male or the female, or gender agnostic, how does it matter? Wrong is wrong. No, but that is all there.
That's what the book is about. Aish has been
Please, sorry, thanks for waiting.
Thank you. So, very simple question, and it's got a little sub part of the question. The question is that I haven't come across anybody in my life who doesn't believe that they're DGPs. They're not anything but DGPs. So everybody believes that they're decent, good people. I mean, like, we can take a quick vote and you get 100% in this room itself.
Yeah.
The sub part of the question is that how do we recognize ourselves in the CCP?
Have we recognized ourselves?
Being one of CCPs. How do we recognize that trait within our own selves? I mean, it's great to sort of look at people and say, DGP, CCP, but please.
No, I have my take on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so my take on that should be that, again, back to the book. Okay, this book is not about looking at yourself. This book is about reading the other person. Okay, you may think of yourself as, I don't know, whatever you want to think. Sorry, what?
I said whatever you
Whatever you want to think, right? But that doesn't matter. This book is about how do I see you? Are you a CCB in my life or not? And then it helps me to put you in a quadrant to say, how do I deal with you?
Right.
if I have to interact with you, how do I make sure that my interactions with you are pleasant? How do I deal with you? And there are different strategies that Yadav talks about on each of the quadrants. So this book is not about saying how I'm looking at myself, it's about how am I looking at you or somebody else looking at you and saying, are you a CCB in their life or not?
Which takes me to the second part of the question.
I don't know that.
Wouldn't that sort of weaponize this book in the hands of the CCB?
Yeah, well, see, the first one is that how do you know whether you're a DGP or a CCP? It's a game of intention, and intentions are manifested in actions. Now, what you find is that DGPs are evolutionary and they are collaborative. If you ask them to prove their intentions through actions, they will say, yeah, no problem. Acha, prove karke dekho, kar lete hain. Anything you ask them to show the test. Oh, you want to discuss, हाँ कर लेते हैं. You want to go to the shrink, चलो चल पड़ते हैं. You want to list down the point, हाँ कर लेते हैं. They are not scared of actions. Whereas the CCB will say, who are you to ask me to do this? I am not like that. You are like that. So they will never allow, the CCB will never allow the discussion to move towards any kind of measurability. The moment you bring it towards measurability, they will say everything cannot be measured. So what will they do? They will destroy discussions. Their discussions are never towards sorting things. Their discussions will be towards settling scores. So it is not very difficult for evolutionary CCB to find out that he is revolutionary. But you need a clean heart. If embedded in your question is that what if a person deliberately fools himself that you are a CCB but you play the victim card, which Amit and I have discussed several times. You want to play a victim card and say that no, I am a DGP. That way Al Capone, the criminal, when they asked him, he said, I am just a sweet guy. The guy who murdered Sankt Longowal, the psychologist went to meet him. He said, yeah, I murdered because he got me angry. So I murdered Sankt Longowal too. Now, how do you convince a guy that you are a CCB? You can't. Can this book convince him? She asked in the last one. No, you can't. Can a person self-convince himself? Well, you need to clean this up, man. When this is not in the right place, you will just keep giving slippery arguments. Otherwise, for a CCB, no problem. They say, tell me 10 actions that I need to do. So, measurability is possible in quite a few areas of life, by the way. If we can measure human beauty and have beauty pageants, we can measure level of spirituality also. So, Yagya Tapasdan is not very difficult to measure. But the CCB will always shy away from measurability. Because actions bring in measurability. So, it's not very difficult. But they will play the victim. Those are games. See, the games are infinity. The games are endless. Toxic conversations can go on forever. But you've got to protect yourself, and I hope I'm being able to throw some light. What is the second?
We had that discussion in your book launch about are they self-aware? They are not. They have justified themselves in their own eyes, and everybody justifies to themselves that they are good people. So even the bad people, they are not going to admit.
See, fortunately, what happened? This is too good.
Yeah.
This is too interesting.
Your time and that.
I know. You are the master. So, this is too interesting, Rupa. What I have done is that I have met about 35 CCBs. And where the CCBs have actually agreed that they are CCBs. Now, why did they do that? Because that goes against what he is saying, what Amit has always said, that the CCB will never agree that he or she is a CCB. Okay, but with me, 30 to 35 CCBs have agreed. Why? Because they know I will never disclose their secrets. I gave them 100% psychological safety and vulnerability. They have actually told me things that are unbelievable what they do to people. Why have they told me this? And actually the chapter number 5, I think it was the toughest chapter. Chapter number 6 of it was the toughest chapter. Chapter number 5 talks about their mental world. How did I come to know about it? By talking to them. When I went for coaching sessions, these are one-on-one, confidential coaching sessions. So I said, if you murder, it's okay. So it was that level of safety that they said, yeah. I feel that I will bully them. And I said, why? They said, because I can. I said, why? Or I salute you. Thank you for your honesty. And the entire sessions would be into, thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty. Why were they honest? Because the CCP also wanted love and honesty. They wanted to be honest with someone. And I was that person. And the essence of that is written in chapter number 5. So what he is saying, what he was saying, that they will never accept, I cracked it. And I celebrated. I danced in my bathroom alone there.
So they didn't accept, so that means that some of them actually know and they are doing it on purpose and they are very well aware of what they are doing and they will accept it when they feel safe enough to do it.
Absolutely. And why do they do it? Because they can.
Yes.
Power corrupts. Power corrupts.
And there are some cultures who allow that.
Yeah, and you are smart. In fact, page number 97, this young girl here, my niece, she's mentioned in the book. She says some parents teach bullying to their child, saying this is leadership skills. And you know, the school buses I've seen in the morning, some DGP kids are standing in the queue. Some CCB kids they break the queue. And what is the parent saying? Parent is saying, let him go. They are bad people. Shabash. UG Krishnamurti will not be happy. UG Krishnamurti said, other than compassion, teach self-compassion also. To some children you have to teach competition. To some children you have to teach compassion. Don't teach compassion to a DGP child, please. He's already got too much compassion.
Okay, we've got a question from Deepak as well. Deepak,
No, I just got answered. My question was more related to corporate. What is the right mix for a CCP and a DGP in the corporate? How, if you have DGPs becoming a DGP, then how does the Ram Rajya work and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think in fact that's covered in the book that actually the bosses love CCPs.
Yeah.
Because they get the job done.
Absolutely.
And the DGP, though I think when you work in Indonesia, it is such a joy to see DGPs collaborating. And when DGPs collaborate without the brilliance of CCPs, they still get there. That was surprising for me. Can sweet, not so sharp people with good intention who can collaborate and cooperate, can they reach such heights? Because some of culture eats strategy for breakfast. But
Kanma
CCP
finally
very
helps,
valuable.
na,
Very sorry.
Kanma helps, no? Finally. Samir, he's got a question.
I've known you for about 20 years now. Yes. We've had many discussions. Till about 5, 8, 10 years back, were you able to handle the CCPs yourself?
Not very well.
Can you handle them now?
Much better. Much better. And with more peace.
That's the reason.
The issue is not to handle them. It's what happens under your skin. Because the moment the DGP handles the CCP,
you have to handle yourself.
yeah, absolutely. You put it better. You have to handle yourself after you handle the CCP. So you can't sleep. Your skin burns.
Could you think that you're kind of like Lord Shiv? Because he had the Gunas also.
Sorry, once again?
Do you think you are Lord
Could you be
Shiva?
like Lord Shiv? Because he was also constructive and destructive. So whatever needed, whatever to be getting done, he got it done. And he had all the mass following of Gunas, which are not nice guys. So could you be that probably?
You have to destroy some, construct some. That's value creation where the practicing Buddhists are sitting here. So when you destroy, you create, you destroy. So some level of Maheshwara and whatever Brahma, Vishnu will come in. So that has to happen.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, we've got 2 questions and I cannot not take the question from Amit. Okay, 3 questions. Okay, please.
So Yadav, I'm sure writing this book, it would have taken you a little time to, it didn't happen overnight. Where did you largely see yourself? DGP or CCP?
What are you, Yadav?
I think I'm an evolutionary DGP, a wounded healer. So I think wounded healer is a good word that you learn, you teach, you grow, you teach more, you celebrate, you dance, then you get freedom. It's a feeling of liberation. Because when you learn to deal with negativity, what it creates is positivity. So it is important to learn to deal with negative. And I think it started with that. I was not a DGP, I was confused. But I was looking for the truth, that's all. But without the truth, how do you settle down? Your psychic knots don't spare you until you reach the truth. So relatively, I've reached more truth as compared to where I was.
Safe, and then we'll take the
Imagine a
last question.
situation where one believes in, one is a giver, no matter what. And secondly, along with that, one is a believer in honesty with best policy, no matter what. And the situation is that one is the same DGP is emotionally attached to a CCP. So, what is your advice?
We'll have to gradually grow and be more true to your real self. Because if you stay in the false self, because you are in love, you are attached. So the more attached you are, the more you have to live in your false self. Now on one side, you will suffer because of your love or attachment, whatever you want to call it. On the other side, you will suffer because of the false self. Your true self is not manifested. So Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true as the night follows the day. Then you can't be false to any man. So if you are false to yourself, you suffer. If you resist the person you love for this, you suffer. The word decision comes from a Latin word decidere. Decidere means which pain can you overcome sooner. Decisions are about pain, by the way. Decisions are never about joy. So both sides, what you are offering here is they are both pains. Now which pain can you overcome? Now going by the values, the universality of, or the longevity of the values, and these are big words, but I won't explain because I know time is running out. She is going on inching towards the stage with every passing. Alright? So it's just that a higher value, as she says, is unfortunately truth and honesty. So at some stage, it's warming up. But gradually inch towards more honesty. Small improvements towards honesty. Because your personality cannot handle two sufferings simultaneously. You crack. It's not worth it. And whatever these self-help books may say, come on, live the truth and all that. Don't do it. Don't do it. They're wrong. So especially if you're an emotional person, don't go for the kill. Soft, gradually prepare, clarity-based courage, step by step, microns, millimicrons.
No, it takes a lot of courage, by the way.
Yeah.
Huge courage.
Because you're totally going against your
Yeah,
brain.
again, you're against your
Absolutely. So don't do that.
To be able to disassociate yourself from that situation takes the most of the time is taken there to get that courage to do that. Because once you can disassociate from that situation is when you can then start acting on what you have to do to get out of that.
Yeah, but thanks for your vulnerability there, and I appreciate that question.
We have one question. I know I said Amit's going to be the last one, so I'll still make Amit the last, but here's another question, and then we'll wrap up after this.
Yeah, hi, this is Indu. I think I just wanted to sound out some thoughts. One is, most of us, at least I can speak from being a mom, we do have traces of CCG there. Our children, if they are bold enough, they do tell us. Right? I think the differentiator is probably a predatory behavior. When there is predatory behavior, I think one has to predatory. Definitely, that is the CCP I think you're talking about. I mean, we do see that in families. Self-made parents, grandparents who have always done like this. You have to listen to me. The family, everybody listens to me. That kind of behavior. But I think that behavior is definitely fed by the good person.
Decent good people, DGPs. Yeah.
Because the decent good people, one don't feel that they need to be respected. They have a place and they don't own that space. They don't have the courage to push back. I think if the CCDs get pushed back, they do understand. I do think that, I wanted to know if that is a strategy that is talked about, irrespective of the...
It's talked about in much greater detail and the various steps that are involved. Because what you're saying is not easy for people to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are the various steps that will give you that conviction? How do you unbundle it, break it up, simplify it? have the goal path model? How do you have the progress principle? So those things, but you are absolutely right.
I mean, unless the good person is there to feed the CCP, the CCP doesn't become stronger.
It's being wishy-washy. He said that the role of CCP to respect people.
Yes.
If the DGP stand up.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So when they're pushed back, they understand. Okay, they know when you see the CCP behaving like they don't go to that person anymore.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So true.
I think
So well said. I'm so glad you were saying it. So glad you were saying it.
Okay, the last question of the evening, Amit, to you.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
First, an observation and then a question. The observation is that I've stayed with the book for some time now.
Sure.
It's been almost 2 months now with the book. So, something, I don't know if it's cleverly done or it's just by design. But whenever anybody is in a challenging situation, there are basically 4 elements that are there. There's me, there's you meet anybody, the other person. There is the situation, and then there is the supernatural. I'll tell you what I mean. So, whenever there is a problem or a challenging situation, I'm looking for somebody to blame. Somebody to put the blame on. So I either blame myself or I blame you, the other person, or I blame the situation. That it just happened because of the situation, or I just blame someone because I was under that situation or the challenge of that, or otherwise the 4th thing I do is I start looking at supernatural, which is a destiny. Had to be, which is not SEL. What you've done intelligently in the book is that you've counted all 4. So when you look at this bit of self, you challenge it by this thing called misplaced words of it. We said, let me challenge you, don't blame everything on you. Secondly, you also look at, when you look at situation, you give us the quad 4 model, the power, different kind of powers there. When you look at the supernatural, you look at super morality, and you fix that. Basically, you don't give any excuse for the DGPs to not take any action.
Not to take it. True.
Am I making sense?
Yes.
Kind of you put together.
Very nicely put. Yeah.
So I think what was left was to take action, which needed courage.
Yes.
Now, as far as my experience has been, courage sometimes comes from no options. I would fight
From no options. He said courage sometimes comes from you push on the wall.
I think sometimes courage comes from no options. And what is done cleverly or subconsciously in the book is that all options are being crossed off. That you're left with only an option now to take action on this. So I think that's something I observed. So the question is actually is more something I want to know from you is that the book is being written after 10-15 years of tapasya.
Thank you for saying that.
So I'm sure it has tasted success before. These things you would have tasted success. You want to share with us one success story of somebody that you know of? You can change names if you don't want to share.
How you converted a psychopath into a nice person?
Sorry?
How you converted a psychopath into a nice guy?
A place where you had a DGP. You shared some tips with. Initially those were tips. And it worked. And what happened?
See, this happens almost every week for me because I am coaching people, which is one-on-one coaching. So people share their deep thoughts, intentions, motives, drivers, and I truly understand that. And I don't give them solutions. We analyze the situation and they go and try it, and it really works. One example was this person who said no to his brother. He had to sign some shares and said, okay, so let's analyze. Because, see, you can't trivialize it. This is very important once again for everyone, that you can't trivialize people's problems. If a person says, "Mere ko lajja aati hai, I feel shy, I get tears, I don't get sleep, I know it but I can't do it, I have a knowing-doing gap, I can't discuss elephants in the room." You have to acknowledge this now. You can't say, do this. If you already know green vegetables are good, then eat. If people say green vegetables, I know they are good, but I don't want to eat it. You have to first acknowledge it. Haan, taste kara. So, by the way, this happens with me very frequently, that people come and say that, not that you changed my life, but you've changed one drop in my life, because I can now respect myself. I can actually love myself. I can be upfront with respect. I can have relaxed micro muscles, relaxed shoulder muscles, relaxed under the eye muscles, relaxed finger muscles when I talk. Now I don't go and say hello. Now I say hello. Now my tone is relaxed. So it happens very frequently. But I think what I'm in extreme wonderment here is that you got the first part, that we had to cross off all areas which you will say that I can't act. So I don't think that you will catch. That was one of the mischiefs of the book, which I was thinking will
We
take
didn't
it.
talk about mischief. Yeah. But thank you so much. I think it's just been a fantastic evening. I'm glad that we're wrapping up. We took Indu's feedback, we took Amit's last question. I don't think there could have been a better summary than what Amit, the way he kind of summarized the book. So people who haven't yet read the book, this is what the book is about. Leaving you with no option but to actually take action. I think that's the way I would think about this book. Yeah. So thank you very much, Yadav, for writing this book, for putting out some really, really brutally honest things on a piece of paper for all of you who don't have the benefit of attending your coaching sessions and training classes to be able to understand how to deal with the CCTs in our life. And thank you all very much for being here today and being part of this conversation that I had with Yadav. Thank you.
Thank you both Yadav sir and Rashmi ma'am for being here today. It's rather been a very insightful evening. I really hope all of you read the book, including me, because I always... Hello? So I always prefer watching the trailer of the movie before watching the movie. So I was keenly waiting for this evening. Now I can definitely read the book. I'm wishing you all the success. May I request Pratiksha to please felicitate Mr. Behra.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. And thank you so much, Rashmi for taking us through this evening. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We have some snacks outside. Please help yourself before heading out.